Welcome to the video, guys. It's Fatal. Thank you for swinging by the channel. Today I will be doing a nostalgia review on the game Star Wars Republic Commando. Released in February of 2005, Republic Commando was a new take on the Star Wars shooter genre in that it delved into the squad tactics side of the gaming sphere. I remember being a kid when this first came out, practically begging my grandfather to buy it for me. I was trying to get him to ignore the gore warning on the rating block in the back. Now let me tell you, I am more than glad that I did, as it quickly became one of my favorite games of all time. I used to play the campaign in this game over and over again, never getting bored of it. To this day, I'll still drop back in to give it another playthrough. My last time doing so was about 2 years ago. So, before I go back and play it yet again, I give Star Wars Republic Commando a nostalgia rating of 9 out of 10. What this means is that from my memory, I give this game a score based on 5 categories: graphics, story, sound design, music, and gameplay. This score will obviously be the more biased of the two that I give, as it's all based on how I felt about the game back in the day, and just from my memory in general. This will be the standard in all my videos of this format going forward. I can update this in the future based on what you, my audience, decide needs to be prevalent in the future videos. I also won't be going over every little meticulous detail of the game either, because I feel that I should let you play the game yourself to find out about some of the things that are hidden here. Because, in my opinion, this game is definitely worth still going through and even playing for a first time, if you haven't. Now, without further ado, let's get to the game. One of my favorite things about this game is how in-depth they really went into learning about real-life tactics in an effort to make sure that the game was as realistic as possible. It's just a level of detail that a lot of modern-day developers don't really go into, unfortunately. The coolest thing to me is that not only did they do that, but they brought in someone who genuinely cares about what he's doing and teaches with that in mind. They didn't just go out and get the, Detroit defense guy or some stupid crap like that.
What they're gonna do is they grab your wrists. A lot of aggressors do this when you're talking to them because they don't want trouble. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your hands and clap just like that, pull down. So from here, you clap and go like that.
I start with something very, very basic. I start with safety rules, 4 safety rules. I go into how to grip a weapon safely, how to draw it, a 5-point draw, how to move with a handgun or a long gun. That's it. I try and make it as close as reality as I possibly can. It's very, very dangerous because once you go into a room, you're going into the room because there are adversaries on the other side that are willing to kill you. And this is why I take this kind of training. Even though it's not live fire training, I take it very, very seriously.
We are introduced to our squad at the clone facility on Kamino, after a montage showing us growing up from a literal test tube baby. We are then split up from them and are shown in a staging area, prepared to head to our first battle. In the first mission of the game, we are loaded onto a gunship and launched from an acclimator down towards the Petronaki arena on Geonosis, where we are tasked with the assassination of the Geonosian Chief Lieutenant Sun Fac. It is here that we learn how to play the game, needing to heal after taking an apparent anti-infantry artillery round. We learn how to heal, shoot, and throw grenades as we make our way towards a Geonosian spire where our mission is. Along the way we meet up with 6-2, who is just absolutely obliterating some enemies. We then tell him to blow some shit up, and then we're on our way to the first mission. Something that this game does very well is making you feel like you're in a dynamic battlefield. One way they do that is the personality that they give to your squad mates, and also having them get into fistfights with enemies instead of just shooting them to kill them. Little details like this give the gameplay in this game such an interesting feel, and it's just really a unique feeling when you're going through and playing. So now we are entering into the before mentioned spire, where our next objective is to locate 4-0, aka Fixer. It is now when we get a little bit of clairvoyance from our boy 6-2.
Call me a mutant, but I think there'd be bugs here. It's all yours, boss.
When we find Fixer, he is just finishing choking out a Geonosian. He then links to our visor and we have him hack into a console to take down a barrier in our path. I will say something that has always disappointed me about this game is how they put a large emphasis on our squad members' specialties, even going out of the way to tell us to specifically use certain members for certain tasks at points, but after the first time doing so, it's really never utilized again. I wish that they would have given us buffs for using the correct clone in the correct situations or something of the sort. I really just view it as a missed opportunity, if that makes sense. But I digress. We then head to a Geonosian chamber, blow up some fighters, learn how to use night vision, and our squad commands. Now these commands are another awesome feature that has a lot of functionality. There are 4 commands and their functionality is just as they sound. Search and destroy, form up, secure area, and cancel command. Following this, we are tasked with meeting up with 07, aka Sev, my personal favorite clone of the bunch. The squad then ambushes a meeting led by none other than Sunfac himself, who escapes. This is when we are introduced to the Super Battle Droid, who is an absolute unit in this game, which leads me to my next point about the gameplay. The enemies are all so unique and bring a different level of danger as well as unique strategies required to beat them. I won't share all the strategies or even capabilities of the enemies here, as I want you to be able to figure them out on your own. Once we beat some more enemies, we breach into another room where Sunfac is escaping to his fighter, which we have Sev blow up. This ends the tutorial mission set as we are given a new mission to destroy a separatist jammer, which is a mission that ended with the death of another squad of elite commandos. As we play through the next level, we are introduced to a new mechanic in this game, where you can order your men into different weapons positions in key strategic locations throughout the level. With this, you can manage the battle to your advantage. We also receive our first DC-17M attachment, the sniper configuration. This is when you find out that you can disassemble and reassemble your weapon into different useful weapons platforms. A lot of times in this game you are at a severe disadvantage and it is only your battle management and the use of these different weapons that gets you through it. Another thing that you'll notice a lot of the times is that there's an objective that it has to be done, such as planting a bomb on something, and a bunch of weapons positions scattered around the map, and you have to decide if you would rather be on those weapon positions or if you would rather be the one to plant the bomb, depending on the situation. So, like I said before, another just super cool, in-depth mechanic that this game has. After making our way through the Geonosian birthing chamber and destroying the jammer, Delta Squad is then tasked with destroying a droid production factory down below. There was one last thing I wanted to mention about the gameplay that I just remembered in post, and that's the turrets. They are well implemented in this game in my opinion, because while they are good, they aren't necessarily overpowered, because they basically just solve your ammo management problems and provide very limited coverage, albeit high damage output. It's only for a small portion of the map though. So, like I said, I think it's really well done, and the fact that you or your teammates can control them is just really cool to me. It has a little Easter egg for you guys to try out. See what happens if you do too much damage to your squad mates. Now I'm sure there are things that I missed, but these are just the main shining stars for me in this game. I give the gameplay in Republic Commando an 8.5 out of 10, because while I do love a lot of the mechanics, there are some things that I wish they would have fleshed out just a little bit better, and maybe some things that they could have implemented that they didn't. From this point in the video going forward, I will be focusing only on the story at a basic level to give you a general idea of what's going on. There will be spoilers, so just be aware of that. I won't be going super into depth, so there will be spoilers, but there will still be plenty of game for you to experience yourself. I may mention gameplay components in the future in the video as well, but it won't be affecting my score. Just little things here and there that I want to point out to you as we go through the game. Next, our advisor tasks us with breaking into the factory to steal schematics from the main computer for analysis. Upon doing so, we are tasked with destroying power conduits throughout the factory. Once we complete this, the factory goes into a full meltdown, and we run towards the exit, fighting through enemies. When we reach the end, a LAC gunship descends into the factory to help with some super battle droids, and the squad makes their escape.
Give us some sniping, Commander. Eliminate.
Delta Squad's next task is to infiltrate a droid core ship and steal the launch codes for the entire core ship fleet. We are told that there is an anti-air turret en route to the ship that we must destroy, and the only way there is by the canyons that we are dropped off in. Along the way, we are encountered by multiple Geonosian elites with their beam weapons, as well as many normal Geonosians. We also find the wreckage of multiple LAT gunships with tons of dead clones in them.
Nice hit, boss. That wreckage, it's one of ours. Talk about a bad landing.
Along the way, you encounter several barriers that you must destroy in order to progress towards the objective, and meet heavy resistance.
Stand back, Doubters. Entering passage now.
When we reach the anti-aircraft emplacement, Delta Squad is met with heavy resistance, with multiple super battle droids and dozens of B-1 battle droids. After fighting through them, Delta Squad makes entry into the bunker. Once inside, Delta Squad finds a location to set a bomb on the AA turret's automated reloading system. After destroying it, Delta Squad continues through the bunker, only to realize that there are several blast shields in the bunker that are open and letting loads of Geonosians in. They go room by room closing the windows and fighting through Geonosians and droids alike, until realizing that the anti-aircraft gun is still functional. They set another bomb on it and fully destroy it this time, being ordered to continue on toward the core ship for the main mission. We receive notification that we will be receiving an anti-armor attachment for our DC-17M, which Scorch is delighted to receive.
This should come in handy against all these droids.
Anti-armor. Oh, this is nice, boss. Very nice piece of ordnance here.
We see that the LAT carrying it was shot down right outside of the core ship, and we fight off the enemies surrounding it. Upon doing so, we see that the door is shielded, so we'll have to find another entrance, only to encounter a dwarf spider droid to test out our new anti-armor attachment on. After defeating it, we see that the entrance to the ship is shielded here too, but this time we get to take advantage of some air support courtesy of our last mission. We head inside and slice into a terminal to open a maintenance hatch to infiltrate the ship.
Now get into that core ship, and each of you is tasked with disabling a different critical system within the ship. Taking out these critical systems will weaken the ship defense components and make achieving your ultimate objective easier. Remember, it is imperative that you retrieve those launch codes. Good luck, Delta.
And split up from the rest of our squad to perform our own key missions inside of the core ship.
This is Delta 38. Amen.
This marks the first successful Republic infiltration of a Separatist core ship.
These droids must be on standby. I'd better be careful not to wake them up.
It's about reached my target. No droids so far.
We are told that our primary objective is still to get the launch codes to prevent the retreat of the droid army, and our secondary objective is to ensure that this specific ship can never be used again. A slight caveat that I want to make as well is that missions like these in this game are awesome to me as a Star Wars fan, as it explains how certain events in the movies happened. These missions are no longer canon. Thank you, Disney, you Commandos still are, and one can imagine all the events that they canonically have affected in the Clone Wars. We step off of the elevator into the Super Battle Droid storage racks. Hooray. And start experiencing some issues with them activating out of their standby mode. Receiving updates on our squad mates' missions along the way, we hear that they are starting to experience similar issues. We press on, the ship continuing to shake with thunderous explosions as our squad mates accomplish their tasks. Upon completing our own task, we fight our way back to our squad mates. Upon meeting back up with Sev, we encounter our first droidicas, and Sev introduces himself back into the group the only way he knows how, through assassination. We also get a preview to the new droid dispenser units, which, as some of you may know, become a pain in the ass later in the game. The next room we go into contains not only an elite Geonosian, but yet another dwarf spider droid. To give you some perspective on why these elites are so scary, here's a clip of me dying to one.
Squad leader down.
Before we can make it to the bridge to get the codes, our antics while split up from each other have caused the ship to start melting down. Because of this, we have to complete our objective and escape the ship using the ship's PA system as means of time tracking, with 5 minutes to do so. Encountering heavy resistance, you have to rotate your deltas through sniping, healing, and slicing for a full minute while trying to support them as best as possible. I will say I did die a couple of times on this part. The task of trying to manage so many enemies while slicing consoles and doing it within the time limit allotted is actually quite difficult, especially with the newer enemy types that you encounter. Once we successfully exfiltrate, this ends our time on Geonosis, where a far darker mission awaits us. After a full year of sustained fighting in the Clone Wars, Delta Squad's next mission is aboard their first home, the acclimator ship, the Prosecutor. It has been missing for 2 weeks, and we are tasked with the investigation. Delta Squad has received recognition of their elite status over the past year, which is why they have received this tasking.
Someone important noted your excellence on Geonosis. You hear that, Sev? Someone thinks I'm excellent.
Well, at least that makes two of you.
Delta Squad.
We must split up yet again to begin our mission.
Seal your suits. Good luck.
Shortly after entering the ship, we lose contact with the advisor.
Deltas, I've a torpedo bay. Our ship thieves could stand to learn something about...
As we continue forward, 6-2 encounters some weird static and shortly after starts cutting out, as we hear him fighting something before losing contact with them.
Deltas, I've lost 6-2. Are either of you close enough to monitor his status? Report.
Negative, sir.
No Deltas on my scope either, sir.
3-8 gives the order to search for his vitals, but to no avail. As we continue on, we meet a clone who is hiding in the torpedo bay and gets killed by some sort of droid. Pushing forward, we see some clones dying to the same droids, and we encounter them ourselves. We also see some clones fighting an out-of-view enemy. Hearing an unfamiliar gargling noise, we see a head roll from off-screen.
We've got some trooper casualties here, Deltas.
Once we make our way through some droid access tunnels, we find 07 slicing into one of the data cores, when he gets ambushed by a Trandoshan.
Just have to slice this core for the...
Sev, can you read me? Come in, Sev. Blast. 40-6-2. Come in. Be on the lookout.
We get ambushed as well, and our mission then changes to a search and rescue mission for our squad mates. We find the sensor data core and find sensor logs that are not from a Republic code for some reason, therefore bringing them with us on our mission to save the squad. Along the route, we save a group of clones and see that the defensive turrets are still functional. One of the troopers decides that he wants to mouth off, so 38 has to put him in his place.
This deluxe model is the only thing standing between you and a bloody death, so you'd best be showing some respect, trooper.
Yes, sir. What are your orders, sir?
Hold the line. Kill any lizards you see. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this.
Will do, sir.
We continue onward, only to find that our turrets have been turned against us. Realizing that the Trandoshans are smarter than we previously thought, we relay the message to our squad, to no response.
Are you receiving?
Realizing that a second group of turrets is still inactive, we slice them in order to have some extra friendly firepower.
Come and get me.
We then slice into the flight recorder and tell our squad to rendezvous with us, and the only Delta we hear from is 40. We make plans to meet up with him so we can launch a counterattack. Along the way, we see a new type of Trando, who is absolutely terrifying.
Keep your eyes
Along the way, we find out that the Trandoshan's most favorite pastime is setting up ambushes for us.
What's that, sir?
I won't show you what it is, but there's an Easter egg in this game that's located in this general area that I only saw in this most recent playthrough that I highly recommend looking into. After this, we have a first-hand encounter with an elite Trandoshan, an enemy that Fixer informs us about.
Definitely wasn't a slaver.
Roger. Must have been some heavy assault mercenaries. Trandoshan elites. I heard they carry an LS-150 heavy ACP repeater.
You heard right. Nasty weapon.
We find 40 at the rendezvous point, but before we can meet, he warns us that there is a battle droid dispenser behind us, and we have to fend off the droids until Fixer can get to us. Confused, the two commandos escape, finding that Sev is being tortured for information in the room below them. As we head down, the ship's AI warns us that the turret system has been activated against us. We fight through the hordes of slavers until we are able to make it to Sev. Upon reviving him, we are told that 6-2 is being held in the detention block, and we are ambushed by another elite.
They've got 6 holed up in the detention block. Boss, hold on to your...
We then continue to the detention block, where we learn of the Separatist involvement here being a little bit more than we previously thought. Upon 6-2's revival, we are informed of how dedicated 6-2 is to the cause.
Yeah, they searched me, but I hid the data pretty well.
Where exactly?
You don't want to know.
Roger that. Deltas, move out.
As we make our way towards the bridge, we get some sound advice from Sev.
Rule 17. Always make sure they're dead.
Well, looks dead to me.
It is now.
And encounter more droid resistance.
Another battle droid dispenser. Where are the Trandoshans getting all this hardware?
We destroy the jammer and are able to get back into contact with the advisor.
Patching into the ship's systems to determine her status.
After destroying the jammer on the bridge, we are informed that there is a large Trando landing craft in one of the hangars. We also encounter Trandoshan mercenaries, basically our counterparts as far as training and equipment goes. As we progress, we realize that we must ensure the recapture of this ship, as it contains loads of useful data to aid the Wookiees in their battle against the Trandos and Separatists.
Every maneuver, the Republic could spend months analyzing this data.
And the Wookiees could use it to get an edge on the slavers.
Yeah, Wookiee life debts for everyone.
It's also here that we encounter our first super battle droid dispenser, which does not bode well for the future as far as the other droid types go, if you catch my drift. On our way to the hangar, we are told that the Separatists are meeting up there with the Trandos to hand off the ship, and the Republic is headed there to assist.
What the?
The elevator that we are taking is tampered with, and we drop back down into the detention center. We fill the block with noxious gas to kill all the Trandos, and we Princess Leia rescue mission our way down into a room below, where there is supposedly a large clone signature, which wasn't technically wrong.
What the? You've got to be kidding.
Alright, this is getting...
This is where we find out that the purpose of the scavenger droids is to kill clones and pile them into the trash chutes. We make it to the hangar where the drop ship is located and use rocket turrets to destroy it. When we do so, we find out that a droid capital ship has arrived and that there are more coming.
Oh, blast.
We then have to clear 3 more hangars from droid dispensers, the last one with a bit of a surprise at the end that helps with the overwhelming odds, and officially secures the ship. When the enemy starts ramming our vessel, we must get to our ship's turbo laser cannon and get them up and running. We are forced to hold off wave after wave of enemies until finally the droid controls on the ship fail, causing all enemy droids aboard the ship to collapse while we watch the destruction of the Lucre Hulk control ship.
What's going on?
It's the battleship. Their droid control systems are down.
Look at that. That's beautiful.
The clone's next mission is to answer the age-old question.
Palpatine.
What about the droid?
I understand.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What about the
What? How can you do this?
droid attack?
This is outrageous.
Except not only are we here to assist with their Trandoshan slave issues, we also find out that Yoda's friend Tarful is being held prisoner by the Confederacy and the Trandoshan Joint Force. Delta Squad has the element of surprise this time, so one may wonder what they do with it. Well, of course they just go in and blow everything up that they can and shoot unsilenced weapons throughout the mission and... Ahem. The clones infiltrate a Trando slave camp and proceed to free the Wookiees, facing heavy resistance along the way from multiple Trando elites. They also find out that General Grievous himself is landing on Kashyyyk, performing unknown business. Luckily, Delta Squad is able to enlist the help of the gigantic Wookiees they free, who show absolutely no mercy when killing their enemies. It's truly a sight to behold.
Moving to cover.
Our new orders are to verify that General Grievous is in fact on the planet, and in doing so, we are spotted by his bodyguards.
Move! Deltas, give me an explosion. Initiate radical restructuring,
Where are they
Commander.
taking him?
Grievous must want him for questioning.
We rush down, only to find Tarful being dragged away by his bodyguards. But then he breaks free and joins us in killing them after Grievous leaves. We learn from Tarful that this camp is only the beginning, and there is much more to what's going on Kashyyyk than meets the eye. Delta Squad's next task is to destroy the Separatist supply chain, but along the way we find a large encampment and are told to ascertain the nature of the camp. Finding out that there is a heavy droid presence at the compound, it only piques the interest even more. Upon further investigation, it is confirmed that this is in fact a Separatist supply base, and we find a large landing pad with transports bringing in Trandoshan reinforcements. After destroying it, we head to the next level of the base for exfil. We fight our way through and get picked up by a LAT in order to go retake the bridge at Kachiro and destroy it to prevent their assault on the Wookiee city. When we finally get the charge set on the bridge to destroy it, our charge has a misfire, forcing us to take other measures to take down the bridge. The advisor directs us to a window above it, and we begin to slice into the panel.
Slicing now. This will take a while.
Break out the heavy weapons.
Sensors pick up something big headed towards us, and 6-2 hopes it's not a spider droid.
Hope it's not a spider droid. Whoa, on the turret.
Affirmative.
Can you guess what it is? It's a spy. So we beat the spider droid and head upstairs, shoot a well-placed rocket at the fuel line under the bridge, and take the whole thing down. Delta Squad is then placed in charge of escorting Tarful to the Wookiee resistance. Upon finding him, we are ambushed, and we need to find a way to get up to his level.
It's Tarful. Looks like he doesn't need our help.
We find him finishing off a super battle droid, and are tasked with helping his troops at the end of the bridge. We also need to seize the ammunition stores back from the Separatists, as well as the Geonosians who are making their unwelcome return to the battle. We sliced the demolition locks on multiple ammunition stores so they may be reacquainted with the Wookiees. Our final mission is to take the upper levels of the Citadel in order to snuff out the assault as well as cut off their supply. We begin to fight through heavy enemy resistance as we face off against 2 spider tanks. We are then sent to rescue some of Tarful's men from a ship's hangar. We have to destroy a SBD dispenser and a droidica dispenser before the injured Wookiees can escape on their vessel. Once we do this, we can continue on to the location of the Separatist cruiser that we were tasked to destroy. We fight through the Workshire tree nursery and encounter 3 elite Trandoshans, after which we are informed that the ship is tapped into the Citadel's power supply, which is preventing the defense turrets from turning on. We are then tasked with restoring the power and taking down the cruiser at any costs. We slice multiple terminals to reroute the power to turrets as Geonosians and droids attempt to stop our progress. After being ambushed in this game about 5 million times, a friendly Wookiee shows us an alternative route that we may be able to slice into in order to sidetrack yet another ambush.
He says if you slice through that door, you may be able to sidetrack an ambush. Yeah, that'd be a nice change of pace.
Keep me covered, Delta. Moving to position.
Unfortunately, he meets his end at the hands of some super battle droids. Rest in peace, my friend. As we push on, we find that the Wookiees that we were headed to assist have actually pushed back the assault, and they're escaping on a ship that actually gets shot down by none other than General Grievous himself. After fending off some of Grievous's bodyguards, we head upstairs to fulfill our role of destroying the droid cruiser.
These guys again. Make 'em work for it, Deltas.
Delta Squad is finally on the elevator up to the missile turrets that we are going to use in order to bring down the cruiser.
In the upper levels of each of the 4 bays.
We fight through a very heavy enemy resistance, and in reverse fashion of the norm, split up one by one as we get to each of the turrets. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to put an even heavier spoiler warning here than I have on the whole rest of the video. If you care at all about spoilers, haven't played the game before, or anything of the sorts, I highly recommend finding out what happens after this point for yourself. Alright, ending the spoiler warning now. First we drop off Sev, and push on as he begins to fire at the ship. Second, we drop off Fixer, and shortly after, 6-2 and ourselves must take out a spider tank all on our own while fighting off Geonosians. Twice. After finally dropping off 6-2, we step into a nursery from hell, fighting off Geonosians and their babies alike. After making it to our turret, we begin shooting as well, taking out key systems along the ship. With help from a few LAT gunships, we destroy the ship, another successful mission for Delta Squad. We regroup with our squad mates when we hear this.
Boss, I've got a problem here.
Sev, where are you?
On multiple hostiles.
Lost his signal, boss.
Well, find it again, damn it. Squad, regroup. We're going after Sev.
Negative 3-8. New orders came through from the Jedi generals. Clear the area. Evac now.
I don't care if they came from Master Yoda.
Being directly ordered by Master Yoda himself, Delta Squad is forced to evacuate, leaving Sev behind.
40? He's right, boss. We gotta evac. Sir, we have to go.
The squad is emotional, but the advisor informs us that we have a new mission: to support the Republic invasion of Kashyyyk that we made happen through our own efforts.
An entire operation.
One commando? He's talking about my pod brother.
Hold on, advisor. What do you mean, an entire operation?
Your team was the advance force for a full-scale Republic invasion. I had strict orders not to tell you. It was your reconnaissance, your intel that verified the operation. And now the invasion has begun.
Republic assault ship on Vector 6. Hostiles to starboard, ready guns. Firing solution in 2 seconds. Watch it, Bravo Leader, they're on your tail. Twin starfighters, incoming at 0 Mark 27. Look out!
Boss, look! It's the invasion force.
Taking the city was only the beginning.
I've never seen so many ships before.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'll patch you through right away. Listen up, Deltas.
Listening to Master Yoda give the Force their orders, Delta Squad prepares to fulfill their own.
Is that really who I think it is?
Rendezvous with Delta Squad, we must. Upon them, we rest Macho. Wookiee freedom must not be sacrificed.
Sorry, Deltas. Looks like it's back to the action. You have your orders.
Delta Squad, lock and load.
This ends the story of Republic Commando, and unfortunately the sequel to this game was cancelled long ago, and there hasn't been one confirmed since. If you are wondering what happens with Delta Squad after this, there are luckily multiple books describing what happens to Delta Squad following, as well as describing what happens when Order 66 is passed down, as commandos do in fact have inhibitor chips implanted. Now, as far as the story goes, my score for it is a 9 out of 10. The reason being is that even in my 15th or 16th playthrough of this game, there were still plenty of moments that took me by surprise and that still made me feel emotion, especially the disappearance of Sev. I have to say that I still highly recommend playing through this game, and that I hope we get a true modern day remaster or sequel in the near future, although I don't expect it. There is a video on YouTube that I'm going to link in the description and show you on screen here of somebody that with their own computer made a remaster of the opening that looks absolutely awesome, so it makes me very excited as to what a game studio could do in the future if they decided to. Moving on to the graphics portion, I think that back in the day the graphics were amazing, but as this is a modern day review score, the 2005 graphics look a bit rough around the edges and the levels do seem pretty drab with little to no coloring. I unfortunately will have to give the graphics a score of 4 out of 10 because while they don't hold up very well to nowadays, they're not awful, and I don't think that there's a reason that I should give them any score lower than them. And with my scale of 1 to 10 having a 5 as the average, I think that this is more than fair, especially for a game made in 2005. Now for the music. This is one of this game's true highlights, and rightfully so. It would honestly almost be a sin if the Star Wars IP was associated with bad music or even sound design on a game, which I will get to in just a second. The music has always matched the tone of what's going on in this game and enhances whatever is going on in the scene. I won't play all of the songs for you here, as that would just be a waste of time, but I do overall give the music in this game an almost perfect score of 9 out of 10.
Assume snipe position, Delta. On my way. Commence door breach.
On our way.
Finally, the sound design. The sound design in this game as far as the weapons and movement go is good in my opinion. Where this game lacks is the repetitive nature in the dynamic dialogue of the clones, the explosion sounds, and the enemy dialogue, and a few more. There isn't much that really changes in these regards, which can get a little bit repetitive, especially later on in the game after you've been listening to it the whole time. However, the weapons all have a very unique sound that matches them well, and in my opinion makes them each feel distinct from each other. Take the Geonosian beam weapon for example.
Fresh ammo.
It's hot, boss.
The charge up sound and deep reverberation of the weapon as you are firing makes it feel truly powerful. The sniper sounds like a Star Wars sniper should, and sounds, in my opinion, just like a precision laser weapon would fire. The normal blaster remains faithful to how the Star Wars blaster should, and so forth.
Subject terminated.
Eliminate target.
With all that being said, My score for the sound design of this game is a 6.5 out of 10, as it did unfortunately fall short of what it could have in a lot of aspects, but it is definitely a bit above average what you would expect. Now, as for my overall score of the game, I will be taking the average of all these different scores to give you my final modern day score for the game, which is a 7.4 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching this video. It truly means a lot to me. I am so glad to finally release it, as a lot of work went into its creation, and this is one of my favorite games of all time, so I just wanted to do it justice. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like so I know how I'm doing, and I really do mean this. If you did not enjoy it or have things that you wish to change or wish that you could actually see that I didn't include, feel free to leave those opinions or wishes in the comments, and I will do my best to fulfill that. With that being said, thank you for watching. This has been Fatal. Have a great day.